Hello there, this is Ken Barron. I'm with the National Association of Black and White Men Together. Topic today is identification, citizenships, and voting. 61 years ago, when President Johnson called on Congress to pass the Voting Rights Act, it empowers millions of people of color to vote. Yet, when a war is raging in the Middle East and an affordability crisis is brewing at home, the Senate is poised to begin what could be a marathon debate on the Safeguard American Voters Eligibility Act, SAFE, a bill that would block millions of eligible American citizens from voting, reversing decades of progress. And now, Florida passed a bill on Thursday that will require voters to verify their citizenship when registering and limit which forms of identification they can present at the polls. The new requirement resulted in the removal of perhaps thousands of voters from the rolls and in the disenfranchisement of young voters. The votes in both Florida chambers were along strict partisan lines, with all Democrats against the measure. Ron DeSantis, a Republican, has supported the legislation. The bill's enactment would make Florida the most populous state in the country to impose a proof of citizenship requirement on voters. But the Florida requirement would take effect next year, not before this year's midterm election. Some solace, I guess. Quote, this is one about the integrity of the elections, unquote. One of the bill's sponsors, Senator Grahl, a Republican from Vero Beach, said on the Senate floor Wednesday, quote, it is something that puts greater trust into our system. Under the bill, Floridians would have to provide proof of citizenship, such as a birth certificate or passport, when they register to vote. Every existing voter's citizenship will be verified against government databases, such as Real ID, when the bill goes into effect. If no citizenship document came up, the local election supervisor would notify the voter by mail. To stay registered, the voters would have to bring proof of citizenship, such as a passport or a birth certificate, to his or her county elections office. About 98% of Floridians have a real ID. About 872,000 residents still do not. Separately, the bill would have required voters to use either college IDs or those provided by retirement homes to identify themselves at polling places. Republicans said the types of ID were too easy to fake. Banning students drew especially strong oppositions from Democrats, who accused Republicans of trying to disenfranchise voters on a partisan basis. Young voters often lean Democratic. 8 states have banned student IDs for voting, according to the Brennan Center for Justice, and that's a nonpartisan organization, but 6 of them still allow voters to cast provisional ballots. The Florida bill was modeled in part after this Save America Act that would impose strict voter IDs and proof of citizenship. That legislation has become so important to the president that he has said he will not sign any other bill until it passes. But studies have shown that requiring proof of citizenship across the country may end up affecting more Republican states that Mr. Trump won handily in 2024 because they have the largest percentage of citizens without valid passports. This is creating an issue where there are going to be a lot of impacted voters that are going to need to produce a passport or birth certificate, and they are on the margin of voters. You're going to have eligible citizens who are not going to be able to vote. Federal law is clear that only American citizens can vote in federal elections. In Arizona, voters passed a ballot initiative in 2004 that required proof of citizenship for registering. That created a bifurcated system in which any state election required proof of citizenship, but voters without such proof could still participate in federal elections. In 2024, nearly 100,000 potential voters were at risk losing their registration because of a glitch in Arizona state data. Voters who were issued a driver's license before 1996 might not have proof of citizenship on file. A court granted those voters relief before the 2024 election. In Kansas, 31,000 potential voters had their registrations rejected or denied because they had failed to produce documents proving their citizenships according to federal court records. The court also found that almost all of the effective voters were citizens. The law was ruled unconstitutional and has not been enforced since 2018. Likewise, in 2024, New Hampshire passed a law requiring all first time visitors in the state to produce their citizenship in order to vote. That law is being challenged in federal court. Louisiana has also passed a law requiring voters to provide proof of citizenship when registering. This year, in South Dakota and Utah, they passed proof of citizen laws that are awaiting signature by each state's governor. Don't forget this reminder that the stakes are immensely high as the 2026 midterms fast approach. We should renew our efforts to control or undermine our elections on Capitol Hill. Notice it there and in states and work against this. This is Ken Barron with the National Association of Black and White Men Together. I brought you an article on citizenship, on identification and voting. Please make sure you get out there and vote. And by the way, before the election, we're having a national convention. And at that time, you can meet with other like-minded people. It's in Albuquerque. And if you go to nabwnt.org, you'll be able to see more information on that. Again, thank you so much for listening.